Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be giving you guys a detailed tutorial on how to make Ghana braids. Some call it feed-in cornrow, some also called it feed-in braids. So however, the last Ghana braid I uploaded on this platform, you guys asked a lot of questions, and that's the reason for this detailed tutorial to answer all of your questions. So if you guys are ready, let's just dive into it. Tips number one to have a very nice Ghana braid is your parting. Yeah, that's why I start with parting. What I like to do with my part, I cut first and then I apply gel on the line and then I cut again with a different comb. With this, you have a nice and shiny part. If you've been following my tutorial, you will know I love working on sessions. So that's the reason why I'm cornrowing one section of the hair so I can actually concentrate on the other part of the hair. So if you're a beginner, please take note. Working in sessions will help you a lot. Next, let me quickly talk about this. My attachment rack is a lifesaver. It makes the work so easy. So now I really like to comb, and the hair I'm working with is kind of a natural hair. I think they must have put texturizer once or so on the hair, but seriously, this is more like a natural hair because it's so cold at the bottom. So like I said earlier on, I like to cut the hair, put gel, and then cut again just to make sure I have a very clean and defined part, or cut you call it. So now number two tips to get a very nice and protective Ghana braid is to start it. The starting, how you start it matters. So watch what I'm going to do right now. Instead of starting with the attachment, I will start with the natural hair. It helps a lot. With this, you have that tiny, when you start your Ghana weaving or your weave, how it looks tiny at the beginning, that's what you're going to achieve. And with this, your hair will never break, will never ever break. It's a great protective style that you should actually pay attention to, seriously. So I weave a little bit downward, and then I start adding the extension. On the next one I'm going to pick, I would want you guys to really pay attention to what I did there. It's very easy to do, which I'm going to take my time to explain to you guys. But after now, I just start picking the extension. What I normally do with the extension rack, I'll say I think I'm going to mention it when you guys are staring at the extension rack. So because I normally put the attachment, when I cut the attachment, I cut it in the way that I can actually pick it one after the other. They are not all the same size. I will explain that better when I'm actually cornrolling, when I'm actually weaving another part of the hair. So all you need to do at this time is to weave and start adding extension. And when you add the extension, look at my middle finger and my index finger. You will see that I throw, just pay attention. That's the reason why most of the time when I'm making a hair tutorial video, I like to always say pay attention to my hand, because if you pay attention to my fingers, I bet you're going to understand every bit of what I'm doing here. So this is how neat, how beautiful this Ghana braid came out. It's really beautiful and very neat. I don't know how I put my cameras, but most of the time I actually feel like my camera is not giving me a good, like, how the braid really look on ground. So pay attention to this. I'll pick the natural hair. Just pick it. If you don't even know how to pick a tiny hair, if you would like me to do a different tutorial on that, how to pick a short hair, I will actually make one for you guys. So with the hair, you pick the hair from beginning, you weave it maybe like 4 but over 3 times, and then you start putting the extension. It depends on how much weave you want to have at the front, how much natural weave you want to have at the front. But seriously, if you give that gap, like with the natural hair before start adding extension to your Ghana braid, I bet you're going to have a very good protective style. It won't hurt your braid. I know a lot of people keep saying Ghana weaving is a protective style, but if you don't do it this way, it won't be a protective style anymore because your hair is going to be breaking from the front. So pay attention to my fingers, how I add the extension. I'll pick the extension, throw it, use my middle finger in between my middle finger to hold the extension, and then just braid downward. If I pick the next one, please guys, pay attention. That's the reason why this video is a little bit long, not like my regular hair tutorial video that is 8 minutes. This is about 12 minutes video. So guys, just pay attention. I bet you're going to understand everything I'm doing right here. So like I said earlier on, what I like to do after cutting the part, I put gel on the lines, then cut the part again, define the part again with a different comb. This just give you a more straight and clean lines if you are finding it difficult to get a clean lines when you're weaving or when you're braiding. So just pay attention to how I pick the front hair over there. If this is not clear enough, the next one is going to be very, very clear for you guys to see what I'm doing. So I like to just weave like 3-4 times downward, and the next extension I'm going to put on the weave. The hair there is very short. You could see me struggling to actually pick the hair. So what I like to do after picking that weave, like 3-4, the first extension that I had to the weave is actually a very tiny extension. It has to be tiny. If it's not tiny, you're going to have that fold at the top, or the weave is going to look as if it's turning if the very first extension you use is big, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to illustrate it for you guys to really understand what I'm talking about, or try to see if I have a clip that I can show you guys to understand what I'm talking about. Because if you make mistake at that front, your Ghana braid is not going to be neat. I bet you it's not going to be neat. So pay attention. After you pick those few weaving 3-4 times at the front, the very first extension you're going to put, even if you're making a big Ghana weaving, let it be smaller. Even when you're making those big chunky Ghana weaving, just make sure that the first extension is smaller. So you always notice that when you make a Ghana weaving, a big weaving, you'll notice that from the beginning is also tiny, just as the same as when you make a small Ghana braid. Yeah, if that makes sense. But this time, just pay attention to how I add the extension onto the weave. Out of curiosity, what do you guys call Ghana braids or Ghana weaving or feed-in braids or feed-in cornrow in your own city? A lot of people call it different names. Please leave it in the comment section. I would really love to know. And if you've not subscribed, please support me by subscribing. I upload new videos every Thursday at 2:15 p.m. UK time. So let's pay attention to this very one. So one thing about this middle part, you know that from the front, if you look at the side, you see that these weavings are long, while the middle one is already short. So what you do, even though we follow the same method using a tiny extension, braid the natural hair, then use the first tiny extension, but this time you're going to be making the extension you're adding to it a little bit bigger, just so you can actually get the same size of braid by the time you're braiding downward, if that makes sense. So if you pay attention now, you'll notice that sometimes I pick 2 extensions together to add to it, just to make sure that the braid on that middle will not be tiny. If not, because you don't have enough hair to braid down on that middle. So if you don't do it that way, you might find out that by the time you finish braiding, that middle Ghana braid might be smaller or tinier in the middle. So if you want all the sides to be even, to be the same, what you need to do is to add extension and make sure that the extension is big. So if you look at the braid, when I braid downward, you will notice that the size of the braid downward is the same. That's how you can actually get a even Ghana braid from the beginning to the end. So if you've been on my tutorial, you know I always like to trim as I braid. Look at how nice this Ghana braid look. It's so beautiful. Very gorgeous. So let's work on this last one. Looking at this braid seriously, is actually, I'm feeling like I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach. It came out really, really neat. I'm thinking the camera did not do justice, but however, looking at it right now, really looks good. So the same method like we did on the other side, that's what we are doing right now. Because that middle, the hair is not you won't be able to weave like long weave, so you have to start adding extension almost immediately. After adding two single extension, you can start doubling it or making it big if you want. Depends on what you want, just to make sure that when by the time you finish braiding you don't have space at the middle. It won't be nice if you have space at the middle. So you, if you pay attention to what I'm doing right now, you notice I'm picking two extensions together just to make sure I actually have the same size of braid when I braid downward and on that weaving area, if that makes sense. And when you're braiding downward and you notice that the extension is getting bigger or it has got the same size with the other, you can stop adding attachment, or you can add a more tinier extension just to make sure that the extensions, the one you're braiding, is not too big, if that makes sense. So for those of you who don't really know how to braid at all, like you want to do a boss braid, you want to braid, you don't know how to do it, please feel free to check the video I'm going to be linking over there. That will actually give you an idea on how to braid. I have detailed tutorial on how to grip braid from the roots, how to braid from the beginning to the end. But however, if you've watched this extent and you've not subscribed to my channel, please support me by hitting on the subscribe button, press on the notification bell for you to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I do upload new videos every Thursday at 2:15 p.m. UK time. Don't forget to drop a comment and let me know what you think about this tutorial. Do you like it? Do you learn anything from this tutorial? Look at how beautiful these Ghana braids look. This is really beautiful. You can call it Ghana braid, you can call it Feed-In Cornrow. They have a lot of names. What do they call this weave on your own states? Please leave it in the comment section, because I get different comments. Thank you so much guys for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.